Hey everyone, welcome back to my studio in Nashville, Tennessee. Today I'm going to show you a quick video on how I'm using the Helix to achieve a wet, dry, wet rig. I've been traveling for the past couple of months and I'm going to show you a couple of clips from the road that I took and how I'm using the Helix as the main source of audio to the front of house console, to the monitors, all that. But I've also started using a live amp on stage. Now this live amp is not being mic'd. It could be, but I'm not micing it. I'm strictly using it as a live monitoring system. Now this can easily be changed to be a wet, dry, wet situation with your live amp being the dry amp. And I'm gonna cover just a few tones today. This type of preset, this type of rig can be infinitely deep. So it can be tailored to exactly, the way that you'd like to run it, but I'm going to show you just real quick on how I've been doing it. So here are a couple clips from the road, and hopefully it kind of maybe sparks some inspiration on how to use the Helix with a live amp. All right, here you go. All right, guys, so here we are in Dubai, and I'm running it's essentially live monitoring and digital monitoring. So our monitor engineer is so come in close. So our monitor engineer, the lines that are going to the front of house are the XLRs. The line going to the amp is just right here. Now, the difference is I could run that totally dry, he can mic it, and then he could have a wet, dry, wet situation. But instead, today, I'm gonna be running, this is the tone of the amp, just clean. And then I can get, nice and cool. And so the cool thing is, if I want, I have assigned delays. So when I press delay for the digital side, going to the monitor console, it's also hitting the amp. So in one button, I'm hitting it, and that's also going to front of house in stereo. So front of house is going to get this nice lush, stereo signal. But for on-stage monitoring, man, I got it right here. And yeah. Vintage guitar all the way, man, all the way. So that's how I'm running it. Cool. And simple, right? Yep. All right, later, guys. Today we're in Jakarta, Indonesia, jet lagged, and 5 a.m. Sound checks. Super good time. Let me show you how I'm running the Helix today. Standard XLR out. I'm also splitting to a dry guitar, or let's call it an amp guitar, because today we gotta match this. Okay guys, as you saw in those videos, I'm using a live amp. One's a Vox, one's a matchless, and I'm using them with just as a monitor, live on-stage monitor. It's getting all of my drives, all the delays, but it's not getting any of the actual amp modeling. There's no reason to put an amp modeler through a real amp. Just don't ever do that. So that's how I'm using it in those clips. Now, what I'm going to work through today is, say you don't have a live amp and you only have the Helix. Well, I'm going to show you how I'm getting those types of sounds. I'm also going to show you how I'm using this as a true wet, dry, wet rig. So let's start with some tones. First, I am playing my vintage V6 Thomas Blug Strat. It feels great. The neck is probably the biggest neck I've ever played on a Strat, but it fits my hand perfect. So, all right, here is the dry signal. Start on the neck pickup. There's the bridge. Now let's switch to the wet. Now the wet, just so if you want to know, I'm using a Matchstick 1, so it's their matchless in the Helix. Here's the neck position with a little bit of verb. Let's add some delay to that. Still only on the wet. Okay? But that can get a little washy. So if we add in the dry, now we get this. Let's get really crazy for a second. Let's mute the dry and the wet. The wet delay, or the wet side now has 3 delays, 2 verbs, and a tremolo. And sounds like this. Neck position. Not a lot of note definition at all. Very, it's great if you want to do like a pad thing, or if you're doing swells, you can, But let's bring back in that dry and see what happens. That's a lot of verb. Still going. So without the dry amp, I lose all note articulation, which really I don't like. I still like to be able to... I'm gonna let that trail keep going, but yeah, without the dry amp, you lose all note articulation. So within the Helix, this is a fantastic way to run all the delay and all the verb. It helps if maybe you're the only guitar player and you have to cover up a lot of sonic ground. This is a great way to do it while maintaining the dry note articulation to where it doesn't just sound like a complete wash of reverb. This is a great way to do it. Now, it does require 3 lines minimum. Stereo, wet, so you get all the lush panning, but then that mono dry is fantastic. So I have it set up to where in this preset, the wet is controlled or is going out of the XLRs, and the dry is going out of the 1/4 inches. So obviously you can flip-flop those however you want, and yeah, but yeah, it's a matchless and the placator. The matchless is the wet, the placator is the dry. So the placator, it's a Friedman. So you got a matchless and a Friedman. It's not a bad rig. Okay guys, if you like this preset, I'll put a link in the description below where you can go buy it. There'll also be a few other presets there. Go check them out. Maybe there'll be one that's a little bit better tailored for your specific rig or gig or whatever. But if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe. I will see you guys next time. Later.